Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Ian. This is my lovely wife.
Rachel?
And we are of Big Family Life in the Simpson Family Home and 4Fs with the Simpson family. The 4Fs simply represent faith, family, food, and fitness. Faith because we believe we can do all things through Him who loves us. Family because aside from God, there's nothing more important on this earth. Food because food is medicine.
No running.
And fitness, because we believe overall balance and overall wellness can be achieved by maintaining a strong mind, soul, and body. So we're here again tonight in a segment that we like to call Real Talk with the Simpson family. So this is where we kind of get into some real world issues that we've had to overcome in our own individual journeys, as well as issues that we've had to overcome in our combined journey as we come together as a blended family moving forward under God by grace.
I think though this evening is not something that we've experienced or
Yet.
However, it's a good question because it's something that I need more information about, and yeah.
Hey, Harry, thanks for stopping in, buddy. Interesting topic tonight, buddy. You might want to stick around. So let's ask the question. And I mean, before let me qualify it a little bit. We almost didn't do this segment because we disagree on this issue, and the fact that we disagree, of course, made me want to do it even more, right? Because I mean, I think it's so important to show that it's okay. We can agree to disagree and not hate each other, because we're husband and wife, we're best friends. We love each other, we adore each other, and all that, but we disagree on this issue, and that's fine, because it doesn't affect in the least how I view my wife. We disagree on it. It's fine. So here's the question. Should bio men be allowed to compete with and against bio women? Now, earlier today, I made the statement that at some point, we knew, in the past, in the very near past, we knew that women just could not compete with men in professional sports. We just didn't allow it. The rules were made, the rules were structured so that women could not compete. They could compete in their own leagues and so on and so forth. And it wasn't any kind of bias. It wasn't any kinds of sexism. It wasn't any of that. It was just common sense. It was just the idea that, I mean, a woman in peak physical condition, it's not for lack of ability. It's not for lack of skill. It's not for lack of... We're talking simple biology. We're talking just physicality. Testosterone versus estrogen. Men are bigger, stronger, faster, right? If you take two individuals, if you take a male and a female, comparable size, age, and you put both of them in training for a period of time, and they have the same amount of... The men will develop more muscle. I mean, it's just simple biology. So we did not allow women to compete in men's sports for fear that they would get hurt. So now we have, good evening, Empress. Good evening, Tessie. Thank you for stopping in. God bless you. So now I find us in a situation now where we have men who identify as women, and now they are not only competing in women's sport, they're dominating. I guess. And let me get out of the way for a second, because you guys can tell my opinion on this issue. So please let me get out of the way and allow my wife to have a voice.
No, and he brought this question to me, and I was like, right away I had a bit of a disagreement. It's funny because we get into discussions where it's we're both very opinionated, and so it makes for really good conversations because we talk about everything under the whatever. It's interesting because I come from a ideology that I like to follow rules, and I like to, so anything that goes against society's
societal norms.
Right. Yeah, I have a hard time. And so for me right away, I was like, what about two-spirited people? Because I know that they play a role. And so when it comes to sports, and he goes, well, what about our daughters? What are we going to do when they get to that age they want to compete? And then there's, the transgender women. I can't, the terminology I'm learning.
I'm not learning it.
I know, but it's for me because I like to know. I like to have the correct terminology. However, when you have them playing, is there a possibility of our daughters getting hurt? Possibilities of them, like he's asking me, like, are they going to get hurt? Or are they going to be getting all the accolades for something they've been training for all their life? So it's kind of puts me in that, trying to be inclusive and, but then also when he puts it to me, like about our children, it's like, that is a really good question to ask, because I know eventually we're going to run into this situation, and it's something that I haven't even actually heard of until, I think it was, just a while ago, he showed me a picture, and it was like a comparison of a young, young woman or teen woman, and there's a man in a skirt beside her, and he's so much bigger. And so he's showing me this photo, and I'm like, now I'm sitting here, it's like 5 minutes ago, so I'm like, yeah, that does not make sense. It's just, for me, it'd be more of a safety reason.
And I mean, that's the only argument here. I mean, I'm not talking about, inclusivity being what it is. Live and let live. I am committed to the idea that my right to swing my arms ends at your person, right? So I'm as much inclusive as anyone you could However, where do we draw the line? I mean, where do we draw the line? Is it, hey, Dan, thanks for stopping in, brother. Thanks for, what biomen? What I mean by that is that the question is asked over here, what biomen? And what I meant, the question is quite simply, should biomen be allowed to compete with or against bio women? And what I mean by that when I say bio, men who are, if you were born a man and you identify as other, right? However, what I mean by bio man is that you were born and you have all the markers, whether you're in transitioning or is all irrelevant. What I mean by bio male is that you were born a man and you had all the testosterone markers of being a male. And so your testosterone levels are going to be higher. Your muscular development over women is going to be higher. Your strength development over women is going to be higher, and all these things. So what I'm referencing in regard to that is that bio male. That's what I mean when I say biological male. Not to speak to, I'm not talking psychology. I'm talking biology. I don't know. Not speaking to how you identify in your mind or how you want to be viewed in your mind. I'm just talking about the biology, your biological makeup.
Yeah. Because it's like the physicality is, you could see a stark difference between the like the young lady and then the male, and he's like, looks like close to 80 pounds heavier than her, and they're playing a contact sport.
It was rugby. It was rugby. And I mean, Daniel says over here, I believe anything goes. And thank you so much for engaging and sharing your thoughts. And I mean, this is an open discussion. This is an open forum back and forth. If we can get some interaction, that's awesome. Opinions are just that. They're neither right or wrong. And it's all about conviction of belief. And my only axe to grind in this issue is that for me, it's not a matter of being feminist, sexist, or any of those markers, anything like that. It's just quite simply this. When you have... this gentleman in question, I saw a video on him. I saw a story just the other day, as a matter of fact. I don't know how old it is. However, this gentleman is in his he's older. He's older. He's a man now. He's grown in his 40s. But he's gone back to college, which is great for him. Hey, Miss Michaela, good to see you. Thank you for stopping in. God bless you. We're talking about, should bio men be allowed to compete with or against bio women in sport? And so this gentleman, if I build a society, I'm going to build it my way. Again, Daniel, and that's all well and good. However, the only thing that we're talking about now, this gentleman here, he in his later years, God bless him, decided to go back to school. That's great. He decided that he identifies as a female. Okay, that's fine. Now going back to school, he's decided that he wants to try out for the basketball team, and as a woman. Okay, he's going to try out for the women basketball team. Now, bear in mind, the first marker is that he's 40 some odd years old. He's a grown man and everything else. And now he's coming back to compete against young girls who are 18 and 19 and going into their 20s, right? And then now the next marker is that he's 6'8" and about 230 pounds. right? So he's dominating. He's absolutely dominant. He's absolutely dominant because number one, there aren't too many 6'8" female professional basketball players. There really aren't. If you look at the WNBA, there are a few out there. Yeah, absolutely, there are a few. You know what I mean? But it's not like the NBA where 6'8" is just that just gets you into the door. You know what I mean? 6'8" as a female athlete is exceptional size. It's not often that you can come across a woman at that size that has athletic ability and the coordination required to be a world-class athlete, right? So then to me, it just becomes a matter of what's fair. Like his race is absolutely irrelevant. What is his race? I could care less.
And so I brought the question up to him just before we started. I'm saying, like, what is the what would you see a solution to? Because I played minor sports and I played minor hockey, but I played with the boys. Same with Phoenix played minor hockey with the boys. And I said, so when do they come to an age where they can either it's the male, the boys team and the girls team, and then with inclusivity, were they going to have a separate league for the other participants? Because like if they're too big for the women's team and they could possibly hurt them, or vice versa. So that was my question, and it's still like just having inclusivity without, I just really just like labels.
I mean, I'm all for inclusivity.
Yeah.
However, I draw the line when it endangers my my daughter or my daughters. How is his race irrelevant? Okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to be dismissive or condescending. The fellow, for all intents and purposes, what I could tell, he was a European. So if you can tell me how that's relevant, he wasn't black, anyways, and I will hold the same opinion if he were. Because there are I think in college sports, one of the best D1 wrestlers, is it a wrestler? There's a lot of information up here, I apologize. And he's black. However, he's competing as a female. And so the problem, and then there's the next problem, right? And there's the next marker is that now when these men are competing against women, they're dominant. They're absolutely dominant. They're winning. Now these women who they know, like I read a report the other day, this one athlete, she was like, this system is built by who, is built by for who to benefit who. The system is built by who to benefit who. And so this individual now, yeah, always. However, I try to get above that, and then that's why Daniel over here, he said that's why race is relevant. I'm not the one that's going to sit here and say that white supremacy is not a thing, or that racism doesn't exist, or I'm not the one. Of course, that's a thing. Of course, it exists. However, I choose to resonate at a frequency above that. That's a personal choice, and that's not judgment or anything. I would encourage others to do the same, that's all. I've reached a point in my life that I realized that it wasn't the fact that it wasn't white supremacy that stopped me. It was my attitude about white supremacy. My attitude about white supremacy was quite simply that, oh man, white supremacy is a bitch. I can't overcome that. So now, I just told 70 trillion cells inside my body that, I'm not going to overcome that. And it was my attitude about that. So I've come to learn that, everything that's held me back in my life is not the obstacles they come and go. You know what I mean? It's your attitude about it. It's just my attitude about my obstacles. So since I've decided to not allow these things, white supremacy, the color of my skin, any of these things, I've decided to not allow these things to stop me by grace, because I know the plan that my God has in store for me. So absolutely, yeah, that's me, 100%. Yeah, that's me, 100%. And I don't claim to say that what works for me works for anyone other than me. It's just that's my journey, and everybody else is on their journey, and I honor that 150%, 100%, 100%.
Always, and not the situation of biomale. So it's, yeah.
What's that? What I said, not the situation of the biomale. Give me some context there, but I don't understand exactly what you're trying to say there. As he's working it out, we'll keep going as. he's getting his thoughts across as he's typing, so it's a little bit longer to get his thoughts across. At least it is for me, and it's so much easier to speak. So yeah, again, I mean, for me, as to what you were saying, like I think that when kids, kids they compete co-ed. That's the word, co-ed. And I think that generally speaking, what happens is up to about the age of 13, that's when you see girls typically, like for instance, Ryder played football a couple summers ago, and around that age in football, when I coached, that's when you would see girls typically either go to, because there is a female league in Manitoba now, so they would either gravitate to the female league or they would gravitate to other sports, right? Because that's around the time when, you see some of these 13-year-old, pee-wee athletes, and they're bigger than me, you know what I mean? So that's around the time, and referencing Ryder's experience there in football, there was a young gal that was on his team, and she wanted to play, and I could not in good conscience, and because she was undersized to begin with. And I went to the mom, and I talked to her, and I says, maybe now might be a time to think about. The worst part about it was the child was completely passive. She didn't have an aggressive bone in her body at all. We were running drills, and running running back drills, and she just, contact is coming, and she just frees up. And so it's like she just become a standing target. Watch the door, don't bang the door, please, guys. And so I was concerned for the safety of this young girl, and I just was. I went and had a conversation with the mom, and as delicately as I could, I was able to. I just let known my concern that I felt that there was a potential for the child to be hurt, because simply because of the reason that when, on the offensive side of the ball, if we put the ball in her hands, and I mean, I'm not going to have somebody on the team and not give them, touches and be a part of the experience, right? But if we put the ball in her hand on offense, contact is coming, she stops moving her feet, she just freezes, and then boom, right? And then on defense, there's, some kids, they see she's a target, so my thing was she was going to get hurt. I'm saying if I build a system, I'm going to build it for people that look like me so I can dominate in society. I accept that. I mean, I accept that. However, that's not really what we're talking about. While you may not see race, society is built on race. Race is an identification. Well, absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. I just think that for the sake of for the sake of this discussion, I don't think it's relevant, because whether the person were black, white, Asian, whatever, I would still hold the same opinion that just because you believe that you're a female doesn't mean that you ought to be able to compete as a female. Now, in every other arena, I mean, do whatever makes you happy. You want to wear a dress and high heels and everything like that, that's fine. However, hence the white male can do what he does. However, it's not a white issue. It's not a black and white issue, because as I said, I've seen black the Olympic runner that we were talking about that got us on the topic a few years ago in the Summer Olympics. There is an Olympic distance runner, and but this is a little bit different, because this particular athlete's biology is just.
She's female.
She's female, but her body produces testosterone at a very high level.
Yeah, I think
right?
yeah.
I think that's how that story goes. So, but she's a female.
Identifies as a female.
And identifies as a female. And ironically enough, back then, and this was, 8 years ago now?
I can't remember.
About a decade ago now. So it's a little while ago. Ironically enough, back then, she wasn't able to compete. They stripped her of her medal, even though she's a bio-female. She's a bio-female that her body just produces large amounts of testosterone. So they stripped her of her medal, and now here we are these few years later, and now it would seem that was okay.
That's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, no. I agree with that. No, Daniel says that you're not hearing me. It's allowed because it's the standard that the system builders are allowing. Absolutely, it's. I agree. It's a narrative that's being pushed. I get that part. I mean, that goes without saying. However,
I think it's just what's going to happen when our children are older is because we know this is happening, and how could we actually do something, to be inclusive, but also maintain a safety
Right.
for our child.
Right, because I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, my daughter goes and competes against, and I mean, again, I'm talking about like, I mean, it, and maybe I would feel differently if these athletes didn't come into women's sport and dominate. Maybe I would feel differently if these athletes weren't built like professional NFL players. Maybe, probably not. No, I wouldn't feel any differently. However, these athletes, some of them are built like linebackers. Like, I mean, 6'3", 250 pounds, playing against the rugby there. I mean, the rugby player. I mean, I mean,
It's like me playing against
me.
against Noah.
Yeah, or me playing against Noah for that matter. Yeah. We got a couple of other views come in from on the gram over here, so I want to quickly take a moment to just let them know what we're talking about. The conversation here is, should bio males be allowed to compete with and against biological females? And please sound off if you have anything to add to the conversation. We'd love to hear you. For me, it's just no. No, I mean, inclusivity being what it is, and I'm all for inclusivity. I'm all for inclusivity. However, where do we draw the line? Is it when a female athlete is trying to tackle this this footballer? Now, this guy is a legitimate 6'4", at least 6'4", a legitimate 230, 240 pounds, tree trunk thighs. So now when a footballer, a female tries to tackle him and she ends up concussed, or worse. Or vice versa. He's tackling an opponent and they end up concussed, or worse. I mean, do we wait until it goes to the extreme where somebody is really badly hurt before we say maybe this wasn't such a good idea? Like, I mean, I really feel like it's just a common sense thing. You know, I mean, and that's just my own opinion. I'm not trying to sway anybody on this. I mean, this is real talk. Let's go into this. This might end up affecting my daughter somewhere down the road. And I just don't feel that it's just. Your feelings are irrelevant in the situation of a system. Well, I happen to feel that my feelings are always relevant. So, and I mean, yeah, so that's just me. But yeah. Again, in the situation there, it's just, baby, let me get out the way and hear what you got to say.
No, it's just, it feels like it's one of those. Yes, we know that the system is designed to do what it's supposed to do. And one of the things that is really, because this is being introduced new to the system, especially when it comes to our children, right? So it's like, we have questions, but we don't have very many answers in regards to that. And it's not that we're petitioning. It's more just getting that conversation going.
Yeah, what Daniel had said, I'll say it differently. You need thousands of petitions to move a mountain. And I understand perfectly what you're saying now. Go ahead, sweetheart. I'm sorry.
No, and I said it's more, we're just trying to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Because these are, society is changing. And we know that society is only benefiting certain people. However, that leaves a lot of us in the dark. So where do we actually stand on these situations that are going to arise? And those are the questions I have more than anything else. Is because, yes, we have to kind of ebb and flow and move within society and still hold on to our beliefs.
Our core beliefs, absolutely.
And some of these new things that are happening, it goes against our core beliefs. However, as an individual, we have to somewhat learn, but not still stay within our conviction of belief. Stand up for our rights, stand up for what we believe in, because we can't be pushovers on every subject. So that's where I'm at on that.
And I mean, the Bible says, give to Caesar what is due to Caesar. And what that means is, essentially, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. This is not a plea or a call to action or anything of that nature. I mean, for us, we just find that it's a topic worth talking about. Absolutely, it's worthy of discussion. Myself, what I would do in this situation is that I just remove ourselves from the situation. I mean, that's it. I mean, if it's a situation where our daughter has to compete against men, then we'll just find something else for her to do or find another league for her to play. Just keep it moving. That's it. No, because for me, no, I'm not gonna put my child in that situation. It's not that, but it's not because I don't believe I don't believe in her capabilities. That has nothing to do with it. That's me putting her in a situation to fail. Right? That's me putting her in a situation to fail, and I don't believe that's an effective way to raise children. You know what I mean? As best as we're able, we have to put them in situations to succeed. And what's worse is not only am I potentially putting my child in a situation to fail, I'm putting her in a situation to potentially get hurt. I mean, no way, no chance, no how. So I mean, my opinion, quite simply, is that I don't think it's just. Again, it's that time of night. If you've been with us before, you know this time of night. The littles come check in to say good night. Good night, son. Love you. Have a good night's sleep. Yeah.
So yeah, it's about that time.
So
And
go ahead.
and I think this is even something along the line, like there's going to be more open discussions about these things. Because the times are changing. So it's like just the more interactions that we have, more understanding other people's point of views, other people's beliefs, because we have to take into consideration for us to learn. Yeah.
And I mean, this is by no means a condemnation. This is not a condemnation of society. This is not a condemnation of the athletes. This is not a condemnation of... It's just my opinion. That's really all it is. It's just my opinion. I would not put my child in that situation. That's it. The parents that do, God bless you. The young women that compete against the men, because there's actually a great. I saw the other day. I think that there's a legal challenge in the States coming up soon, that someday a bunch of female athletes got together and they're challenging, because now the one athlete said that when she goes to a meet, she knows she's competing for at best second place, at best, right? And good night, sir. Love you. And that's just not fair to that athlete who worked very hard. I mean, they say that it takes 10,000 hours of practice, 10,000 hours of training to qualify to become an Olympic level caliber athlete. 10 hours of training, 10,000 hours of training. And so now this athlete who's been in her particular sport for 10, 20,000 hours. She's in college. She's a college athlete. I mean, she's put a lot of time into it, and now at best she's competing for second place at every tournament, because she just understands that she doesn't. And not even that she understands. It's just proven. Every meet that she's been to since this bio male that identifies as a female started competing. She was the best athlete in her particular sport up until this bio male started competing, and now at best she can only get second, sometimes third, because sometimes you have an off day and somebody that's really close. That's how athletics works, right? Keep it moving. Best solution you spoke about. I'm be honest, it's messed up. It's a clear demonstration to push supremacy. It's not for me to deny any beliefs. I would just say that for me personally, I just try to resonate at a higher frequency. I try to get above all of this stuff that's at that lower level that makes us want to be a little bit more destructive instead of being constructive.
But also keeping that awareness of what's going on.
Well aware of what's going on, because I have to be, in order to safely navigate the pitfalls of this world. I have to be aware of said pitfalls. right? So then what does this look like for us? It becomes that, you know what, we consider ourselves to be set aside by God. And I mean, that's not a judgment on anybody else. We're not better than anybody else. We're not better than anybody else. We're not better than anybody else. We just have a different priorities. We just have a different priority. That's all. And so we're able to resonate. We just put a concerted effort into, you know, happiness is a choice. That's one of the tenets of the 4S principle system. Happiness is a choice. So, you know, however, again, as we've said, is that as much as I love my wife loves me, we're not responsible for each other's happiness. We're just two happy people that came together and decided to be happy together. So yeah, with that, I think that we've pretty much exhausted. Unless again, if anybody has anything they want to add, please. This is, you know, this being interactive makes it a lot more rewarding for us on this end, because you know, then it's not just us talking to the camera. So thank you very much, Daniel, for hanging out with us and you know, interacting and just keeping the energy going. And you know, the couple of viewers that we had over here on the gram, thank you very much for stopping in. Hopefully this get to a couple more people. And yeah, again, you know, they say opinions are like bum holes. Everybody's got one. This just happens to be mine, and I just happen to have a platform to share it. Thanks.